Hi guys, Dan Meyer here, and in this short video we're going to talk about how to fish weeds for crappies in the summer. So when you get to this time of year, we're in July, the weeds are really up all around the lake. There's tons of weeds. The shores are covered in weeds. The weeds are pretty tall. So finding crappies in the weeds gets a little more difficult because there's so many weed beds. Also, the weed beds are covered in minnows. There's the young of the year minnows are all over in these weeds. You know, the bluegills have hatched and now they're 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/4 inch. That's perfect size for crappies to feed on. So there's tons of weeds and they're filled with bait. So how do you find and fish the weeds that are going to be holding crappies? Well, if you go to a new lake and you're going to fish weeds for crappies, don't expect to pull up to the first weed bed and have it hold fish. What you're probably going to have to do is you're going to have to jump from weed bed to weed bed looking for the ones that are holding fish. Now, here's a little shortcut to have the best chance to find weed beds that are holding crappies. That's to look for, well, first of all, you want to look for cabbage weeds. The crappies love to sit in cabbage weeds. Second, you want the cabbage weed bed to be adjacent or right next to deep water. So say you got a shoreline and it's got a steep drop. On the top of the drop, there's weeds, there's cabbage weeds. Then it drops off into deeper water, say deeper than 12 feet. That's going to be a good spot to look because what these crappies want to do is they want to sit out in that deeper water during the day and suspend. And the deeper the better, actually. And then they're going to want to move up into the weeds to feed at night and early morning. So if you're looking for crappies in a back bay, there's a good chance they won't be there because it's too far away from the deep water. If the bay is just a big, shallow, flat, covered in weeds, there's a good chance those crappies aren't going to be in the back of this bay. It's too far to get out to that deep water where they want to be during the day. So a good spot to start looking is, say you have a point and on 3 sides of it is deep water and on the top of the point is cabbage weeds. That'd be a good spot to look. Or along a shoreline with a steep drop and a nice shelf on top covered in weeds. That's a good spot to look. And you're just going to have to check all these different weed beds till you find where the fish are. Now another thing, because there's so much bait, the fish aren't going to be a lot of times as aggressive as they might be in the spring, where in the spring you can just sit there all day and pop them because the fish are really feeding. The young of the year minnows have not hatched yet, so there's not as much food. Now there's tons of food. The other thing to remember is these crappies, they're going to be patrolling these weed edges. And that's another thing. This time of year, they're probably going to be on the edge or off a little bit. They could be up in the weeds, but there's a good chance they're going to be right on the edge, and they're going to be patrolling up and down in search of these bait fish. And as the summer wears on and that water continues to warm up, the crappies might, when they're up searching for bait, they might not be in big schools. They might break up a little bit, and you find one here, you find one there, and then you just kind of got to move from weed bed to weed bed, picking up a couple crappies, in each one. And that's just summer crappie fishing. But the biggest thing is if you pull up to a cabbage weed bed, you don't catch any crappies, don't think, oh, they're not in the weeds. You got to keep moving till you find them. You also, sometimes it takes some patience because remember, these guys are moving around. So you might catch a couple and then it might go dead for a while. So that's kind of how you fish these crappies in the summer. You want to find those cabbage weed beds. You want to fish the edge, and you want to make sure there's deep water nearby because in the daytime when that sun is high, there's boats running all over. Those crappies are going to want to slide off and get into that deeper water. So I hope this video helped you. If it did, give it the thumbs up or the like button. Also, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do videos just like this to help you catch more and bigger fish. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.